A dream worth $3.7 billion rises over the Las Vegas Strip, but just months after opening, Fontainebleau faces shrinking tourism, empty rooms, and whispers of instability. How did a resort meant to revive the North Strip become the latest symbol of Vegas's dangerous volatility? The official story is far from complete. What is happening inside Fontainebleau could redefine the fate of the Strip. In November 2008, a towering glass shell stood over the Strip, its structure complete but its future uncertain. Fontainebleau's construction reached its highest point on November 14th, a milestone meant to signal unstoppable progress. But beneath the celebration, the financial ground was already crumbling. The global recession tightened credit markets, and by June 2009, the project's backers filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Construction stopped with the resort about 70% finished, leaving behind an empty monument to overreach and vanished capital. For more than a decade, the unfinished tower loomed over Las Vegas Boulevard, its blue glass reflecting not just sunlight, but the city's anxieties about stalled ambition. Investors cycled in and out, each hoping to resurrect the site's promise, but the building's reputation as a failed gamble grew with every passing year. By the time Fontainebleau finally reopened in December 2023, it carried the weight of this history. The years of abandonment had driven up costs, renovating outdated interiors, replacing aging mechanical systems, and convincing lenders and guests alike that this was no longer just a cautionary tale. Every dollar spent and every operational decision faced extra scrutiny, not just from accountants, but from a city still wary of unfinished dreams. The legacy of halted construction and bankruptcy created a climate where risk tolerance was low and expectations for success were set uncomfortably high. Las Vegas greeted 2025 with fewer visitors than any year in recent memory. In March, numbers showed an 8% drop in tourism compared to the previous year. By June, the decline deepened to 11%, and July saw visitation fall by 12%. These figures are not just statistics, they represent hundreds of thousands of empty hotel beds, quiet casino floors, and shuttered convention halls. The Strip's gaming revenue followed suit, with table game earnings down 5% year over year. For a city built on crowds and constant movement, these declines ripple far beyond the neon lights. Economists at UNLV have tracked these trends closely. They note that a drop in visitor numbers does not just hit room bookings, it cuts into every corner of resort operations. Fewer guests mean less demand for high-end restaurants, nightlife, and retail. Convention cancellations and airline seat reductions compound the problem, shrinking the pool of potential gamblers and event attendees. Fontainebleau, with its vast casino and luxury footprint, faces the brunt of this contraction. A property designed to thrive on full occupancy and bustling gaming floors now operates in a market where even established resorts are struggling to fill tables and rooms. The timing could hardly be worse. Just as Fontainebleau tries to shed its reputation as a stalled project and prove its worth, the broader market is shrinking beneath its feet. Weakness across the Strip is not just background noise, it is a direct threat to the property's ability to meet ambitious revenue targets and service its nearly $1 billion in outstanding debt. In this environment, every missed booking and every quiet night on the casino floor adds pressure, turning external market softness into internal financial strain. Fontainebleau's financial balancing act now rests on a knife's edge. The property carries nearly $975 million in outstanding debt, a figure that must be refinanced under terms that grow less favorable with every weak earnings report. Ownership is actively pursuing a commercial mortgage-backed securities deal to restructure this debt, but lenders are watching the numbers closely. The urgency is real. Without new financing, the resort faces a squeeze that could threaten daily operations. Every day, Fontainebleau reportedly burns through about $400,000 just to keep the lights on, an industry-sourced figure that reflects the high cost of staffing, utilities, and luxury amenities required to compete at the top tier of the Strip. While management has invested in expansion, spending $112.5 million to acquire an adjacent plot of land, the primary property has yet to demonstrate sustainable profitability. This move puzzled analysts, who see it as a gamble on future growth at a time when survival is not assured. The disconnect between aggressive capital expenditures and the lack of public performance data raises questions among lenders and industry observers alike. Requests for monthly occupancy rates, average daily room rates, and revenue per available room have so far gone unanswered. Without these metrics, it is impossible to determine whether Fontainebleau's struggles are worse than the rest of the Strip or simply part of a broader downturn. For now, the resort's solvency depends on the willingness of lenders to extend more credit, and on whether operations can be stabilized before the cash drain becomes irreversible. In May 2025, Fontainebleau's challenges spilled directly onto the casino floor. More than 60 table game dealers lost their jobs in a single round of layoffs, a move that sent shockwaves through a workforce already on edge. For many, the promise of steady employment at a new luxury resort had drawn them away from established casinos. Instead, they found themselves packing up after only a year and a half, their futures uncertain in a city where opportunity can vanish overnight. The sense of instability reached the top ranks as well. Within 18 months of opening, the resort saw the departure of its chief financial officer, chief technology officer, and director of beverage development. Industry insiders described a climate of strategic disagreement and internal friction, with some executives quietly exiting amid mounting pressure to cut costs and stabilize operations. The leadership churn fueled speculation about whether the property could find its footing before deeper problems took hold. As staff reductions and executive exits played out behind the scenes, a different kind of scrutiny arrived from regulators. During a Nevada Gaming Commission hearing in late May, details surfaced about a federal anti-money laundering investigation into Fontainebleau's credit practices. Commissioners questioned whether high-stakes gamblers had received casino credit without proper compliance checks, a potential violation of both state and federal law. President Maurice Wooden was granted only a 2-year limited license, with a requirement to return for review in 2027. The property's gaming license, now conditional, reflected the heightened risk that regulatory action could add to financial strain. For the employees let go, the executives who left, and those still working under a cloud of investigation, the consequences are more than numbers on a balance sheet. Each layoff, each leadership change, and each regulatory hearing adds a human dimension to the operational crisis, making clear that Fontainebleau's troubles are felt most acutely by the people behind the brand. Fontainebleau's leadership has consistently projected confidence in the resort's future. In public statements and investor materials, management points to what they describe as strong forward bookings and emphasizes the scale of their workforce, highlighting more than 6,000 current employees. Press releases frame recent layoffs as standard business practice, not a sign of deeper trouble, and stress the property's ongoing positive impact on local vendors and partners. Official communications avoid specifics about daily cash burn or the details of executive departures, steering the conversation toward long-term growth and resilience. When asked about payment delays or operational cutbacks, spokespersons deny any systemic issues and reiterate that the resort remains fully open for business. Investor presentations reference continued interest in group bookings and convention space, positioning Fontainebleau as well placed to benefit when tourism rebounds. For now, management maintains that the property is on stable footing, even as outside analysts question the lack of transparency around key financial metrics. Clark County permit records show no stop work orders or building code violations for Fontainebleau since reopening. Inspection logs confirm the property remains in good standing with local regulators, with no findings of structural failure or safety risk on file. An independent engineer familiar with the project's checkered past said that if there were real integrity concerns, you would see a paper trail of citations or emergency repairs, and that is not the case here. While rumors swirl about collapse, there is no documented evidence to support them. In terms of investment, Fontainebleau's price tag of $3.7 billion puts it just behind Resorts World, which spent $4.3 billion, making it one of the Strip's costliest undertakings. By peer standards, the property's structural and regulatory record is unremarkable, neither a marvel nor a liability, leaving financial performance, rather than engineering, as the true measure of its future stability. Today, Fontainebleau's future hangs in the balance, as Las Vegas tourism remains below pre-pandemic highs. Investors and workers alike watch for signs of recovery or collapse. In a city built on risk, even billion-dollar bets come with no guarantees. The next chapter is still unwritten. What do you think?